Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Ellie Lee and this is Ellie Lee Designs. If you are new to this channel, welcome, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my weekly videos. Now today's video is extra special because it is a bonus video. I usually post on Sundays only, but this week I decided to post an extra video and I hope you like it. The theme for this project is Mother's Day. So if you're still looking for a couple of last minute ideas for Mother's Day, here are two cards, and yes, two cards that I have included in this project. So make sure that you watch it until the end, and as always, be sure to look at the description box below to take a look at the items that you'll be needing for today's project. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is click on our shapes option, click square, and then we're going to resize it to a 6 by 10 inch rectangle. Then we're going to select shapes again, click on the score line, and we're going to rotate this score line 90 degrees and then align it horizontally in the middle of our rectangle. Then I just grouped it temporarily to move it to the side and make sure it doesn't move around. Then I clicked on the images and I typed in flowers in the search box. I went over to layers and clicked on the single layer option and then just looked at the options that I had. I just felt that this was just going to make it easier to select a image that was already one layer and I didn't have to worry about welding after. I like this image, so we'll go with that and click insert image. And then I just resized the image to a width of 6 inches and centered it horizontally in the meantime. Then I went up to the top, just below operation, where it says basic cut, and I selected that, hit foil, and I selected fine. Then I clicked the text box and typed in Happy Mother's Day. I searched for the different fonts and decided to go with Be Mine. I like the fact that it looked very handwritten. Then I just played around with the text and the image and just lined it up where I thought might look good. Then I selected the Happy Mother's Day text, went to the top and selected the foil option and clicked fine. Then I looked at the medium and I finally decided to go with the bold because I felt like it just stood out enough to differentiate from the flowers that we had at the bottom of the card. And I changed the color to silver for the Mother's Day text. And while a lot of times I use it to the end and it really doesn't even matter, I did decide to just change the color of the rectangle that we were using just to make it look a little bit more like the cardstock that I might be using. This color is a little bit dark. I did decide to go with a little bit of a brighter fuchsia colored cardstock, but again, it doesn't really matter. Then I went over to images again. I typed in envelope in the search box. And I decided to go with this red envelope that I saw. It's really more for the design that I liked. It doesn't matter the color because that's something that you can change. Then I just played around with the size so that I can make sure it was big enough to fit my card in. This I did it visually and I used the card as a template to help me decide how big I need it to be. And I did go back, I clicked on the outer part of the envelope and changed the color to match the card. And then I clicked on the inner part of the envelope to select a contrasting color. Hit make it, then we hit continue and just move on to the next step by selecting our base material. I did select more pressure just to make sure that it cut all the way through the cardstock. And then now it's time to go ahead and load our cardstock. Now, since I forgot to change my tool to the scoring wheel, a message popped up in Cricut Design letting me know that it wasn't detected. So I went ahead and just did a quick swap by removing my cutting tool and adding my scoring wheel. Then I clicked the little C, and once my scoring line was added, Cricut Design Space prompted me to go ahead and put my cutting tool back into my machine. And that's it for our first mat. Now on the second mat, we'll repeat the same steps. First, we do our score line, and then we switch to our cutting tool to cut out the actual exterior part of the envelope. Now the third cutting mat, it's a little trickier because there's one more step. The first tool we're going to use again is the single scoring wheel. So we'll want to make sure that that's in our machine. Then we load our mat and we're good to go. Once that step's been completed, we're then going to be prompted to add our foil transfer tool with the fine tip, and also to place a sheet of the silver foil on our cardstock. And I do recommend that you use the white strips that come with your foil. I've used Scotch tape before and peeling it off just ripped my cardstock, so I don't recommend you do that. And the white strips come with the foil, so you don't have to purchase those separately. And for the second step of the foil portion, it did prompt me to switch the tip to my bold tip so that it can transfer the text Happy Mother's Day. Now, when I was prompted to go on to the next step, which was to switch my tool to the cutting tool, I noticed that the words Happy Mother's Day didn't actually get transferred. And I also noticed that I was supposed to remove the old piece of foil and place a new one on there, which I think is pretty wasteful. I don't know if that had anything to do with why it didn't transfer. I highly doubt it, but to be honest with you, even if I had noticed that, I wouldn't have transferred it over. So I go ahead and just remove that foil transfer. I finished this step. I've got a little trick that I think will work without having to do this all over again. And now I'm going to go back to Cricut Design Space so that I can repeat only a portion of these steps to get that Happy Mother's Day on my card. So the first thing I wanted to do was go ahead and remove the flowers at the bottom of the card by going over to the right hand side and just clicking on the little eye to make it invisible. I did the same with the score line so that the only thing that was left was the text Happy Mother's Day. Then I clicked Make It and Continue. I selected my medium cardstock, and then I went back to my mat and added the foil over the area that's going to say Happy Mother's Day. I changed my tool and clicked on the little Cricut C. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a shortcut. So now comes the fun part where we get to put our card and envelope together. And I use my plastic bone folder to press the creases on the score lines that we created. And then I used a glue stick to paste the inner part of the envelope to the exterior part of the envelope. I folded my sides to seal it closed. Then I folded the crease line on my card, and that was it. So now we're ready for our second card, and we're going to use the foundation of our very first card to create our second. And what we want to do is go ahead and detach the items that we had on our card and remove the Happy Mother's Day and flowers off of the original card. Then we're going to go to upload. I'm going to upload an image that I found on designbundles.com. I'm going to click open, and then I'll select the image and hit upload. Then I'm going to select the image, click insert image, and our image will appear on our canvas. And once we have our image, we can go ahead and move it around and place it anywhere on the card that we'd like, resize it so that it fits the look that we're going for. Once we've sized it, we're going to go up to where it says operations, click on the little down arrow and select the pen option because we're going to be using the Cricut marker for this card. And once I finalize the size of the image for this card, I go ahead and align it and then select the score line, the image, and the card itself and click attach. Now for the purposes of this tutorial, I opted not to recut the envelope, but you can use that very same envelope and choose whatever cardstock color that you want to match the design of your second card. I also changed the color of the card to go more with the cardstock that I'll be using. Next we click the Make It button, and then we click Continue, and we'll select our cardstock again, and I also select More for Pressure, and this time you'll see for the tools it's prompting you to add your pen, or in this case I'm using a Cricut marker, so you want to make sure that you're adding that to clamp A, and then you'll need your scoring wheel, which is the first step of our last card because that's going to create the score line that we'll need to fold the card in half. And then Cricut Design Space prompted me to switch back to my cutting tool so that it can cut out our card as the last step. And once the cut is done, we can go ahead and unload our mat. Next, I peel my cutting mat off of my cardstock, and then I fold my card in half and use my plastic bone folder to press out the creases. And technically, my card was done here, but I wanted to add just a few extra touches to make it extra special. So I don't know if you recall in my prior videos that I had a ton of buttons to play around with. So I decided to go through my stash of buttons and find the perfect one to fit over the drawn in buttons that were on the card. I also used some ribbon that I had purchased at the Dollar Tree some time ago just to give it an extra finishing touch. And then I added some sewing thread to my buttons. I did thread it through without a needle just to show that it can be done without a needle, but honestly, I recommend using the needle because it took me longer than it should have. And then I used my hot glue gun to glue the buttons to the card, and that was it. Hey guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it gave you an idea of something that you can do for this Mother's Day. Just keep in mind that this is also a technique that you can utilize for any other holiday, or even as a thank you card, or for invitations, or anything that you really want to make with cardstock. The possibilities are seriously just endless. If you do end up doing this project, make sure to tag me in my social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'll leave those links below. And also, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure that you comment in the comment section below. This helps me bring you the content you want to see, and I also look forward to just engaging and talking with you all. So I look forward to that, and until next time, bye.